President Raúl Castro of Cuba, who succeeded his brother Fidel 12 years ago, has led the country through some of its biggest changes in decades. He's expected to step down today. Reuters want to get this briefing by email. Here's the sign up. Good morning. Here's what you need to know. Trump's warning to North Korea: if I think that it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting, when I'm there, is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave, while expressing optimism about his potentially historic summit meeting with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. President Trump acknowledged on Wednesday that it could end in failure. Among the possible hurdles, the fate of 3 U.S. citizens detained by Pyongyang. The date and location of the talks have yet to be decided. The venue might depend on the state of North Korea's Soviet-era air fleet. Also on Wednesday, South Korea confirmed that it had been in talks with U.S. and North Korean officials about negotiating a peace treaty to formally end the Korean War. The end of the Castro era in Cuba. President Raúl Castro is expected to step down today, handing power to someone outside his family for the first time in more than half a century. His hand-picked successor, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermudez, 57, is a Communist Party loyalist who has shown the sort of restraint the Castros have always prized. But that caution means he's an enigma both at home and abroad. Our video explains what is known about Mr. Díaz-Canel. He will face myriad challenges, including modernizing a moribund economy and navigating President Trump's reversal of U.S. engagement with the island. Dear Jesus, send some angels. What passengers on Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 got was Tammy Jo Schultz. Captain Schultz displayed nerves of steel while landing the Boeing 737 after an engine exploded in mid-air. One passenger died after being partly sucked out of the plane. A recording of the discussion between Captain Schultz and air traffic controllers. Video by TC Memes. 3 decades ago, Captain Schultz was one of the first female fighter pilots in the Navy. Read more about her here. The accident is renewing scrutiny on engine inspections. No problems were uncovered with the plane when it was checked 2 days before the explosion. Puerto Rico goes dark again after 7 months and close to $2.5 billion in rebuilding work. Almost all of the 3.4 million residents on the hurricane-ravaged island had power again. But a freak accident on Wednesday plunged virtually the entire U.S. territory back into darkness. It's frustrating, said one resident, whose power was restored only in November. You go 3 months without electricity and you think you're getting back to normalcy, and this happens again. Most of the lights went out in Puerto Rico's capital, San Juan, on Wednesday. Face Yarko, EPA, via Shutterstock, free to discuss an alleged affair. Of former Playboy model, Karen McDougal, has reached a settlement with a tabloid company to release her from a contract that prevented her from talking about her alleged affair with Donald Trump. The president has denied her story. The settlement protects Mr. Trump from being drawn into a legal case involving efforts to buy the silence of women during the 2016 campaign. He still faces a lawsuit from Stephanie Clifford, the biographic film actress known as Stormy Daniels. The Daily, the team behind The Daily, presents a new podcast that follows Rukmini Callimachi to the front lines of the war against the Islamic State, and that seeks to comprehend the power and pull of its militants. Business across the Midwest. Farmers are warning of Republican losses in the midterm elections because of the threat that Chinese tariffs pose to American agriculture. Can training undo bias? Researchers are divided on the effectiveness of the anti-bias training that Starbucks will give its employees. Advertisers have long had a symbiotic relationship with Facebook. But user concerns about privacy are forcing companies to take a harder look at how they work with the social network. A robot has been trained to achieve one of the most difficult tasks confronting humanity: assembling IKEA furniture. How fast can you put together a chair from IKEA? This robot did in 20 minutes 19 seconds. Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, via Agence France Presse. Getty Images. U.S. stocks were mixed on Wednesday. Here's a snapshot of global markets today. Smarter living tips, both new and old, for a more fulfilling life. Reading aloud to children may help them deal with emotions. Want to feel better? Express gratitude. Recipe of the day: salmon with sesame and herbs makes a great weeknight dinner. Noteworthy: New York City, 1981 to 1983. It was a time that resonates today. A Republican in the White House. Street demonstrations demanding equality. A new wave of UAL self-identification. For its annual culture issue, The Times' Style magazine looked back at 36 months in New York that changed art, design, activism, food, literature and love forever. Music award draws outrage in Germany. A hip-hop duo whose album features anti-Jewish lyrics won an award at the German equivalent of the Grammys, setting off a debate about the rise of anti-Semitism among the country's young people. The rappers Farid Bang, Left, and Kollega won an award for an album whose lyrics refer to the Holocaust and Auschwitz. Pool photo by Axel Schmidt. Fiction sequels are in bloom before the summer movie season brings its bounty of big-screen sequels. Readers are treating themselves to the next installments of their favorite book series. Our latest combined print and ebook fiction list has 5. You can find all our bestseller lists here. Best of late-night TV. Trevor Noah was cautiously optimistic about President Trump's planned meeting with Kim Jong-un. If it wasn't for his craziness, North Korea would have never come to the table. Quotation of the day: welcome to Puerto Rico. This is what we know as life. Eduardo Perez, an ESPN commentator and former Major League Baseball player who was hosting a news conference in San Juan when a major power failure hit The Times. In other words, here's an image of today's front page, and links to our opinion content and crossword puzzles. What we're reading, recommended by Alicia P. Q. Whitmire, the gender editor for our opinion section. I really enjoyed this piece by John An-Chian, in the Millions, on the difference between East Asian and Western modes of storytelling. Such comparisons can be a little fraught. The potential for Orientalism and sweeping generalizations looms large, but Chian avoid these traps by selecting examples that are both illuminating and touching. Backstory or recent backstory on the dispute about who was first to reach the North Pole looked at ADM. Robert Peary's expedition in 1909. What it didn't mention were the people with him, specifically Matthew Henson, who was hired as Peary's valet but became an invaluable navigator and interpreter. Matthew Henson, Arctic explorer. In the decades after the expedition, the roles of Henson and the party's 4 Inuit members, Oda, Siglo, Egingwa, and Ukwea, were played down. Henson, who was African American, was working at a store in Washington when he met Peary. Their partnership lasted through 8 Arctic expeditions over more than 20 years. Peary acknowledged, "I can't get along without him." Henson was the first to plant the American flag when Peary's group believed it had reached the North Pole. Henson died in obscurity in 1955 at the age of 88. In 1988, he was reburied in Arlington National Cemetery, next to Peary. At the reinterment, Alan Counter, who campaigned to have Henson recognized, said, "We are assembled here today to right a tragic wrong, to right the record. Welcome home, Matt Henson, to the company of your friend Robert Peary. Welcome home to a new day in America. Welcome home, brother." Anna Shavarian wrote today's backstory, _______. Your morning briefing is published weekdays and updated all morning. Browse past briefings here. Sign up here to get it by email in the Australian, Asian, European or American morning. To receive an evening briefing on U.S. weeknights, sign up here. Check out our range of free newsletters here. What would you like to see here? Contact us at briefing@nytimes.com. Follow Chris Stanford on Twitter, @Stanford.